When he's riding into the sunset, like you said, I'm still gonna be here chugging along, trying to get a title shot or trying to win trying to become a double champ and make history. So at the end of the day, I gotta go out there and do my thing.
I was his first fight in the UFC. He took the fight on short notice. Max filled in. He was like 20 or 20. He's super young. This was 12, 13 years ago. But I didn't know a whole lot about him. I couldn't find footage. He only had a few pro fights. But obviously, for the right reason, they brought him in. He's a legend.
This is the biggest opportunity, in my opinion, that Max Holloway will ever have to beat Dustin, not only because it's their last fight, but this is the oldest Dustin Poirier, obviously, that they've ever fought. Dustin Poirier is now one step out of the door.
Max Holloway and Dustin Poirier are ready to settle the score in their highly anticipated trilogy fight. Both fighters bring unmatched skill and determination to the octagon, promising an electrifying battle that will go down in history. Max Holloway is focused on executing his game plan, knowing that this fight is crucial. He's not overly concerned with rankings, understanding that UFC moments shape legacies. Holloway's aware that unexpected opportunities can arise, like a potential return to title contention, and he's ready for whatever the fight brings.
You know, it sucks that it has to be this one. It has to be Dustin's last one, but that's just the way the cards unfold. I mean, I don't know, bro. I mean, the rankings, I wouldn't take too concern of it, or take it too seriously, just because you and I know we live in a sport where moments are kings. You know what I mean? And if I can go out there, I can have a UFC 300 moment again. Come July 19th. Who's to say I'm not right there for an undisputed title again? So we see what happens.
Furthermore, Max respects Dustin Poirier's ability to take charge in a fight and recognizes that Dustin is the type of fighter who can initiate action at any point. If the fight reaches the final round, Max is ready for anything, accepting whatever outcome unfolds in the last moments of their battle.
With Dustin, bro, he's a point down guy too. So I wouldn't be surprised if he started, if he initiated it. So at the end of the day, I mean, you got to. If we get to the 5 seconds, bro, if we get to the 5th round with the 10 seconds left, I think he might beat me to it and might point down first. And for sure, I'm gonna happily accept that any day of the week.
However, Max Holloway's durability came into question after his first KO loss to Ilia Topuria. Alan Juban on the Bonefire podcast analyzes how Max handled the shots, noting that after this loss, it's clear he's not the same. Holloway has shown resilience in the past, but the real test will be in his UFC 318 trilogy with Dustin Poirier, where every shot counts.
Has one foot out the door and is older in age. So could he be lost a bit of a step in his game and explosiveness and all those things? Yes, that's a real possibility. And I think that is why the odds makers have Dustin as a small dog right now. Max Holloway at this point, as we're speaking, is a slight favorite. And I think the odds makers that's what they're taking into account. Max Holloway is still somewhat in his prime time of his career. Dustin Poirier has passed that. But what they're not taking into account to me that much is Max Holloway is a guy that was never knocked down in his career. And he just got knocked out very badly. Once that happens, I can tell you from experience, once you've been KO'd or TKO'd, your chin is never quite the same. And so how well does Max absorb those shots in this matchup, where he's always been able to absorb them?
Juban delves further into Holloway's post-Topuria recovery, emphasizing that while Max has always been known for his toughness, his recent loss suggests that his resilience may have limitations. The fight with Dustin Poirier will serve as a true test of Holloway's chin, with Poirier's striking power being a major factor in determining the outcome of the trilogy.
And we've known Max is just like not only two of the most likable guys, him and Dustin in the UFC, but guys that wear damage very well, and they don't really get buzzed. They're rocked, and they can continue. That's why they have these dog fights in there. How well does Max Holloway absorb shots after being not only knocked down, but knocked out? And how well does Poirier absorb these shots at this age in his career? But I would still lean towards Poirier and his toughness and his resiliency inside the octagon, more so than the younger Max, because of once that light goes out in your brain, the concussions or the off switch rather happens a lot easier. And so I think Dustin has the opportunity in this fight that maybe he hits Max with a couple shots. I don't think he puts him out. I think this goes to the decision.
However, Michael Bisping's analysis shifts to Dustin Poirier, whose legendary career has been built on facing elite opponents and overcoming adversity. Poirier's experience against top fighters like Islam Makhachev and Conor McGregor highlights his legendary status. This wealth of experience makes Poirier a formidable challenge for Holloway, particularly given Max's recent vulnerability after the KO loss.
Now, as we know, Dustin Poirier is 36 years old. He's had 39 professional MMA fights. He's won 30, he's lost 9. He's had 15 knockouts, and he's submitted 8 people. But it's the level of opposition that he has faced consistently that makes him a legend, okay?
This is shit that makes you a fucking legend.
Islam Makhachev, Benoit Saint-Denis, Justin Gaethje, Michael Chandler, Charles Oliveira, Conor McGregor, Dan Hooker, Khabib Nurmagomedov, Max Holloway, Eddie Alvarez, Justin Gaethje, Anthony Pettis, Eddie Alvarez, Jim Miller, and then Michael Johnson, who, by the way, will be opening the pay-per-view this weekend. Fair play to Michael Johnson. This man is still going. Last time we saw him against Ottoman Azaitar, and he knocked the guy out in vicious fashion.
Bisping also acknowledges Poirier's resilience, pointing out that despite his age, Dustin has continued to perform at a high level against the best in the world. At 36 years old, Poirier isn't slowing down, and his ability to withstand adversity in the cage adds to his mystique. However, the 3-year age gap between Poirier and Holloway could still be significant when facing off in this trilogy.
That list of opponents there is just unbelievable. And it's not just the level of opponent that he fights, it's the performances that he has. I mean, look at the fight that he had against Benoit Saint-Denis. He was almost finished. He got dropped. He got hurt. But of course, he got the knockout in devastating fashion. He was able to push Islam Makhachev to the 5th round. And remember, Renato Moicano, when he stepped up on short notice, was taken out of there in the very first round. Dustin Poirier is in every single fight. But he is getting older. Not that much older, though, than Max Holloway. Max Holloway is only 3 years younger, but 3 years is a long time when you're fighting at this kind of level. However, they've both had the same amount of fights in the UFC. They've both had 22. Oh, hey, how are you? My son's girlfriend. They've both had 22 fights inside the octagon, if I'm not mistaken. So that's a lot of wear and tear.
As Dustin Poirier contemplates his career, he focuses on finishing strong and going out on his own terms. While he remains motivated to show he's still one of the best, his retirement decision reveals a shift in priorities toward family and health. His drive to leave the sport on a high note will surely fuel his performance against Holloway in the trilogy bout.
You know, never losing 2 fights in a row. I lost my last one, so finishing my career with that track record is incredible. For me personally, it's important I'm motivated to go out there and show that I'm still one of the best in the world, and I'm walking away from this sport on my terms, that I'm not getting squeezed out or chewed up and beat up and forced out of this life of fighting. I've just made the decision that I want to focus on my health and my family, and that I've done enough in the sport, and I'm content with my career. That's all driving forces for this.
Does this have anything to do with having one last chance to jump that gilly?
Always. That's what I'm gonna miss most, is giving up position in these fights by jumping the guillotine, man.
Well, I think Mike Brown will be able to sleep a little bit easier, I think, after Saturday, knowing that that's no longer his concern to worry about.
Yeah, for sure.
Poirier's insight into his authentic fighting persona adds another layer to his character. Unlike many modern fighters who craft alter egos, Poirier prides himself on being true to himself both inside and outside the octagon. This authenticity has won him fans and respect, making him a genuine competitor who will give everything in his final fight against Holloway.
I'll check in with him on Wednesday. We'll see how he's feeling. I was having this conversation with my editors about sort of the reliable pay-per-view American-born stars that are left, and there aren't a ton of them, and you and Max are one of very few. And more than that, without naming names, I've been writing a lot of headlines lately about some of our MMA heroes and some of their less than admirable behavior. It really feels like you and Max are two of like the great fan adored good guys left in the sport. What does it mean for you to have that sort of adoration and respect from the audience? And, you know, aside from maybe like Connor and Michael and their fight-related issues with you, I don't think I've ever heard anyone say a bad thing about Dustin Poirier.
While many are excited for the fight, some pros break down the strategies of the fighters. Dominic Cruz weighs in on the upcoming trilogy fight, detailing how each fighter's style will shape the outcome. Cruz emphasizes that while Poirier's resilience and experience will be crucial, Holloway's adaptability and technical prowess can turn the tide. The clash of these two warriors promises a dynamic and unpredictable fight where both fighters are ready to lay it all on the line.
Okay, now no secret Dustin Poirier has power in both of his hands. What makes him so tricky is he's a nasty southpaw, but what I noticed the most is how accurate he is. He doesn't miss your face. When he's in the middle of havoc, I mean a full-on, like they're just brawling, he's connecting with everything he throws, very sharp. But what also makes him so dangerous is his defense. When he's here in the pocket, he keeps this elbow to block the body, and he keeps this elbow to block the chin, but he's also hiding his chin behind his shoulder. So he's here, he's fighting hands, and when these punches come, he keeps this tight, and he keeps this over the top. When you come hook, he's here. When you come body shot, he's here. When you come over top, he's here. And then he's just, it's like a mixture of like a Philly roll and a shoulder roll. Keeps his elbow up like this, and this stays planted, because if you decide to come up with a high kick or an overhand, he's blocked. He's always right here. Overhand, he's blocked.
Cruz continues to break down the technical aspects of the fight, demonstrating the key techniques each fighter will need to utilize. He stresses the importance of timing and precision, with both Holloway and Poirier needing to adjust their strategies throughout the fight. This high-level analysis sets the stage for an epic clash that will leave fans on the edge of their seats.
So he's doing this, and then also he can wipe it. So when you throw a punch, he can block and he can throw in between that. That's what makes his defense so good. Boom, boom. So when you hit, he shields this side to return.
Ooh. Oh. Power discrepancy on display once again in that exchange.
So what Poirier does so well is he'll get this lead hand fight going, and then once you get in this habit with him, he keeps it tight, then he goes inside of it with the double jab. Boom, boom, and then he switches to the left hand. The left hand, he throws heat, but it's setting up a shift. So he's hand fighting, double jab, left. Now that's actually setting up this overhand right.
Like Cruz, mighty Demetrius Johnson looks back at the 2016 fight between Dustin Poirier and Max Holloway at UFC 236, analyzing their tactics. He explains how both fighters brought different strengths to the table, with Holloway's speed and volume striking contrasting with Poirier's power. Johnson's insights set the stage for their trilogy fight, where both are expected to showcase their growth and improvement.
We got another breakdown for you. Max Holloway versus Dustin Poirier 3 is about to happen. But before that, let's take a look at number 2 to see what Dustin Poirier was able to do in order to get the W over Max Holloway. I believe Max took this fight on short notice, and it was not his first time bulking in 155, but now he's a true 155er. Can that make the difference in the third matchup? Let's break down the second one. If you're new to the channel, make sure you like, subscribe, and also hit the bell to know when we go live. Okay. And this is Dustin Poirier's final fight. Final fight of his career, fighting Max Holloway. Okay, let's get the epic pin out. While we're getting the epic pin out, we're just gonna let it ride.
Poirier in the blue trunks out of the south.
Now, these guys tend to go about the fight one way.
Johnson further explores how both fighters have evolved since 2016. He points out how Holloway's technical striking and Poirier's resilience will make this third fight even more exciting. With their growth in mind, Johnson predicts the fight will be fast-paced and full of strategy, showing just how much both fighters have developed.
Stand up. You guys know how I feel about that? You know how I feel about that?
It was a nice leg kick right there by Poirier.
All right. So we got Dustin Poirier, who's a southpaw, Max, who's the orthodox. Like, it just changes so much of an element of the game. You come, like I said, boys. All right. Dustin doing a good job of hitting that lead leg. I want to do the body.
Coming back to Dustin, he looks back on his journey, particularly his memorable fights with Conor McGregor and Max Holloway. He praises Holloway for his growth over the years, acknowledging his opponent's achievements in the sport. Poirier's respect for Holloway adds to the anticipation of the trilogy, as both fighters continue to evolve in the octagon.
When you first faced Max and Conor, was there ever a time you could have convinced yourself, like, yeah, we'd be three of the biggest stars the UFC's ever seen?
No. Even when Conor beat me, he was on fire coming in, knocking people out. And even after he beat me, I was like, I don't think this guy is who he says he is. And then he went on to do the things he's done. On the Max side, like I could have never, after me armbarring and triangle and Max, when he was a young kid, to go on to win championships and be around this long and hold all these records, no clue.
It's kind of amazing, honestly, what you guys have accomplished.
Yeah, we've been around a long time.
Yeah.
Dustin reflects on his journey through trilogies, noting that this one feels different. He acknowledges Max Holloway as a legendary fighter, admiring his growth from their first fight to now. As Dustin prepares for his final UFC fight in July, he expresses that there's no one else he'd rather face than Holloway, making this trilogy truly special.
But yeah, I've been in some trilogies now, I guess. This one's different. Usually it's like 1-1 or, you know, I'm 2-0 on Max, but he's a legend and a great fighter and a great champion, and like we spoke about earlier, just see the things he's done in his career from that young kid I fought in his debut all the way full circle. I was his first fight in the UFC. Now he's going to be my last fight in the UFC. So it's just, it's crazy. But when I lay the gloves down in July, there's nobody else like that I would rather have fought my last fight than Max Holloway.
While many pros react to the matchup, Paddy Pimblett shares his thoughts on the upcoming trilogy and sides with Holloway. He believes that Holloway's speed and adaptability will give him an edge over Poirier. Paddy's take adds to the conversation, reinforcing the belief that Holloway's improvements in speed and technique may be the key to winning this highly anticipated battle.
The Holloway-Poirier fight, who do you think walks away from that?
I can see Holloway winning, to be honest. Don't know why.
Yeah.
I think Holloway's motivated. Like, heavy for Holloway, that like if there's two different fighters who beat him 3 times. I've seen him say something like, he took a lot from me, he took me first, give me my first loss, and he took away me like 8 fight win streak or whatever it was, so I'm going to take his retirement fight.
Experts continue to analyze the previous matches. Victor Schilling shares his belief that Max Holloway has become stronger since his last fight with Dustin Poirier. Schilling points out Holloway's increased power and better technique, making him a more dangerous opponent for Poirier in their trilogy. Holloway's improvements will play a key role in how he faces Poirier in the upcoming fight.
I'm not trying to give Max Holloway too many excuses, but at 155, when he came up to fight Dustin Poirier, as we all know, he was not the same lightweight as he was against Gaethje. He was pretty much a featherweight who just wasn't cutting weight. When he took the time to adjust and go up to 155, put on that muscle and stay lean, he performed way better. And I think Max Holloway, a big part of this new matchup is going to be the power. Dustin Poirier is going to have a lot more power coming his way than their last fight. But I think we all know this fight's going to take place on the feet the entire time. I highly doubt either of these guys are going to try to shoot a takedown on each other. So let's break down the striking. Max Holloway's the taller guy, but Dustin Poirier actually has a considerable reach advantage.
While Schilling acknowledges Poirier's strength, he emphasizes Holloway's quickness as his key advantage. Schilling believes that Holloway's faster reflexes and movement will help him outpace Poirier, allowing him to control the pace of the fight. With his speed, Holloway will have the upper hand in avoiding Poirier's power punches and landing strikes of his own.
If anything, Dustin Poirier had more of an advantage in the range. But I think the big difference in this fight mostly is the speed. I think Max Holloway's quicker than Dustin Poirier by a lot. One of the good parts of Max Holloway's game is his footwork, and I think that's what he's going to really rely on this fight if he wants to win. Dustin Poirier has power, and we saw in the first fight, he was rocking Max Holloway. I think it's going to be a little bit different. I think Holloway's chin will be slightly better because of the fact that he's adjusting, but we don't know. He did get sparked out cold by Topuria. He could be chinny, and I think not staying in the pocket with Dustin Poirier is important. That's where I think Dustin Poirier is the best, and Max Holloway does not have the greatest head movement. I think if Max Holloway wants to win this on a feet, I think he needs to do a lot of in and out circling, you know, kind of baiting Dustin Poirier into throwing stuff and getting out of range, trying to hit Poirier and not get hit. Because if this comes down to a slugfest, I probably would slightly lean towards.
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this breakdown of the Holloway vs. Poirier trilogy, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of the action leading up to the fight. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Who do you think will come out on top? Drop your opinions in the comments below and let's keep the conversation going.